This video will describe how to use Onset's grains per pound data assistant software tool with the HOBOware Pro software. The HOBOware Pro grains per pound assistant gives you the ability to calculate the absolute amount of water in air based on temperature and humidity and dew point and altitude. This is supported with any of our loggers that measure temperature and relative humidity. So once you offload the data from the logger and you go to plot the data, or you're plotting a historical file, and it has temperature and relative humidity, and again this is with HOBOware Pro, you'll see there are two data assistants made available: the growing degree days assistant, which is temperature related, or the grains per pound assistant, which is temperature and relative humidity related. We're going to talk about the grains per pound assistant right now. Grains per pound refers to the grains of water vapor per pound of dry air. So this is used in applications where it's important to track how much water vapor there is in the air. One of the applications people use this for is something called building dry down, which means you're drying out a space after a flooding event, either from a fire when there's a lot of water injected into the structure, or from a flood. So as the building dries down, you want to track the water vapor in the air and how that is being reduced by the remediation steps that are being taken. So in order to use the grain per pound assistant, we would select that assistant and click process. And what we have is it's asking us what data series we want to use. If this particular logger was a station logger that can support multiple temperature and relative humidity sensors, this would be where you would select which sensors or which measurements you want to include or use for this particular calculation. The logger that was used for this deployment was just a small temperature and relative humidity logger. So there's only one temperature, one relative humidity measurement or sensor included in the logger. The dew point series is calculated by HOBOware when we read out the data. We can put in an altitude above sea level if we want to also create a series called altitude corrected dew point. So we'll leave that in there. Now, resultant series name, besides altitude corrected dew point, there will be another series created called grains. So let's click on that. And now we can see in our plot setup screen, we have a series called grains. And again, this can be in grains per pound or grains per kilogram. And then our dew point using altitude, again, in degrees F or C, whatever we'd like. And we can click plot. So there's our plotted data. You can see in our data table, here's our temperature plot, our relative humidity plot, here's our calculated grains per pound, and here's our corrected dew point using altitude. If we want to look at this, what was used as far as the assistant was concerned, click on the series grains per pound or series grains. You'll see here, and again this is our details pane, we'll see something called grains parameters. We can click on that and it tells us what altitude was used when this assistant was run. Once you complete and you're happy with how this is being plotted, you can save this as a Hobo project file. You can also apply filters to these new series if you want to get min, max, or average over a certain period of time. Once you have change the colors, change the width of these plots, whatever you'd like to do, and then you can just click File, Save Project, and it saves the file as a Hobo project file.